Which one should I choose? We'll go with that one. Is that upright? I don't know, I feel like that spot was a good spot, but maybe let's go there. Is that right? Upside down? Okay. All right, I did that one and that one. Let's go with this one. Oh, just two here. Which am I feeling? Which am I feeling? We'll go with that one. All right, you guys, today's challenge is actually a really fun thing to do in the salon, and I actually haven't done it in salon yet, but today it was a challenge for me, but it was a fun challenge. So I'm gonna show you what I came up with, my 4 choices of square, abstract, matte, and beige 102, okay? So first thing we're gonna do, just like always, push back your cuticles, make sure that those are really well cleaned up, and then I'm gonna come in with my medium arbor band at about 4,000 to 6,000 RPMs, and we're just going to go through and remove the shine from the whole entire nail. Turn that down just a little bit. I'm going to work right up around that cuticle area, and then in a diagonal down the nail, making sure that you hit every area, remove the shine. If you feel like you need to get, just that little extra spot up top there, if you missed anything, go ahead and catch those. Come back through, dust off all of the dust from the nail, and then we're going to use our swipe. Pump that onto your manicure brush, and then brush in the direction that the nail grows. That way, all of the germs, all the bacteria will get taken off and removed from the nail, and you'll be left with a nice, clean, dry, pH-balanced surface for your product to adhere to. Next step is your protein bond. You're going to do 2 coats of protein bond all the way through all 10 nails. I'm going to start with 1 coat, and I like to brush about halfway up the nail and then work my way back towards the cuticle, so that way I'm not flooding my product into my cuticle area, but I'm going to get nice even coverage over the whole nail. Okay, again, go through all 10 nails first, come back, and we're going to do a second coat, just the same as we did on the first coat. Brush about halfway through the nail, back up to the cuticle area as close as we can without touching. So we're going to sculpt a gel nail today. So we'll go ahead and take our form. I'm going to take that little center tab out of the middle, put it on the back so my form has a little bit more structure, a little more durability to it. And I'm going to pinch together those 2 little silver tabs nice and evenly. Now when you're doing a stiletto nail, I always want to pinch that end together, but when you're working on a square nail, which we're doing today, I tend to leave that open just a little bit, so that way our form is more like a tube rather than coming to a point. Okay. I'm going to bring that right up underneath our nail and secure that down on the sides. Okay. Still want to make sure that it's pinched at the end, but not to a stiletto. All right, so again, we're going to use our Synergy gel system. So I'm going to start with building out our extension. I'm going to do kind of a clear nail today. So I'm going to start with our clear Sculptor. And I'm going to just squeeze out a little bit right where it attaches that natural nail onto the form, right around the edge, and then I'm going to squeeze out a little bit more and just start to pull that forward. Okay. Bring it down to the length that you want. And I'm not using a ton of product, I'm just building enough to make a platform. So we're just building out our extension. I'm going to come in with my brush. I'm going to bring that right up into the corners. I'm going to grab my mixing tile here so I can have something to wipe out my brush and clean out my brush. Okay. And then I'm going to straighten out that sidewall. Now when you're doing a square nail, you can use those lines on your form to help guide you. So that way you have a nice straight, even extension line. Okay, so you can see out from the side, coming straight out, following those lines. Okay. If you feel like you want to, you can clean up your free edge, but don't worry too much about that free edge because you can use your electric file and just zip that down real quick and easy. I'm gonna go ahead and put that into our light. Now we're going to come in with our base gel. Base gel, you're just going to drag your brush over the surface of the base, tap off that edge, and then you're going to just brush that and really press that down into that natural nail. Really get that base gel down into all the little nooks and crannies of that natural nail and really help it to bond. And I had just a little bit more than what I needed on my brush, so I just wipe a little bit of that extra off. Now, as you're finishing up with your base, what I like to do is just take a little bit right through the seam, right where that natural nail connects to your extension, just to make sure that you don't have any low spots or any maybe little areas that you missed with your extension, with your clear Sculptor. Okay, so that way when you cure this and then you take your form off, your nail's going to adhere really well and you don't have to worry about breaking off that extension. Okay, again, we're going to go back into the light, 30 seconds to freeze it or 60 seconds to fully cure. I'm going to take my form off. Now I'm going to pinch that form underneath so that it starts to peel away from our extension. And I'm not sure if you can see that on camera or not, but you'll actually start to see it pull away. If you don't, and if it's still stuck on there, use your magic wand or the point on your spatula here to help really press that away so that it's completely released before you actually remove that form. Okay, we'll take that off. Now I'm going to come in with our silver foil, and we're just going to start to kind of place this anywhere on our nail. So I'm going to just kind of break up my foil into smaller pieces here, and then just using my brush, just kind of place it wherever you want to. I always love using the foil because there really isn't a whole lot of precision that you have to do with it. Wherever it goes, and it's going to look great. Okay? So in my mind, I'm kind of keeping in mind, my design that I'm going to do later in the nail. So wherever I place the foil, I'm going to kind of work around there with my beige. Okay, so I'm just going to fit that in there right where I want. I need just a little bit more right up in here. And when I'm working around kind of that connection of the natural nail into my extension, I actually like to put a little bit more product there so it almost covers up that natural nail smile line. Because with this design, I actually don't necessarily want to see that, but I'm not creating an actual smile line. Okay. Alright, so I think I've got my foil right where I want it. I'm just going to kind of press down a couple of little spots that may have been poking up. Okay, so we've got our foil on the nail. I'm going to come in with my Build Pink. I like to use the Build Pink because it's a nice clear building gel, but it has just a little bit of a pink tint to it to give you a really just a pretty, just a light pink tint. Okay, so I'm going to start with that right up by my cuticle, and then I'm just going to come through and overlay the whole nail. Now, sometimes what I like to do with a long nail like this, I'll actually do it in sections so that my product doesn't start to run. So I'm going to get that product set into place, and I'm going to freeze this into place. Just a quick 10 to 30 seconds, just so that I can continue doing the rest of the nail, but this product is going to stay where I put it, not run down into the sides. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of my product now, and then I'm going to start right through that stress area, and I'm going to continue down the surface of the nail. So that first amount that we put on isn't completely cured all the way through, but it's set in place enough so that we can continue on the rest of the nail. I just want to make sure that I'm building up that stress area and capping all of my foil, building up a good structure to my nail. And again, this time we're going to do a full 60-second cure to cure all the way through the whole nail. I'm going to come back in with our swipe to clean off that tacky surface residue, and then I will file the nails, and then we'll continue with the rest of our design. Alright, so we've filed out the nails, and now we're going to do our design over the top, and this is where our abstract comes in. But before we do our design, I'm actually going to go ahead and do my shiny top coat of ManiQ, and then we're going to do our design with the matte finish. So I'm going to do 1 coat of protein bond before we do our top coat. That way our nail is actually going to be a little bit more see-through and more glass-like. So So we did 1 coat of Protein Bond. We're going to come in with our ManiQ Top Coat. And we'll seal this nail and then go into our design. Just brushing all the way up from cuticle to free edge. Just a nice thin layer. I don't need this too thick, just a nice thin coat. We'll go ahead and cure this. Again, 30 seconds to freeze it, 60 seconds to fully cure. I'm going to come in with our Beige 102, and I'm going to grab my mixing tile here just in case, and I'm going to clean that off with a little bit of acetone, make sure that there's no lint or any dust on there at all. I'm going to come in, I'm going to take out just a little bit of my ManiQ, just in case I need for outlining. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit on my brush here, and I'm going to come around kind of in those empty areas. Any of the places that I didn't put any of the foil, I'm just going to coat that with our Beige 102. Give it just kind of a swirly edge. Doesn't have to be too precise. Again, this is an abstract design. We're going to work down in our free edge and our extension. And if you do cover up any of the silver or any of the silver foil in there, that's okay. Not a problem. Okay, so this is where having a little bit on our mixing tile is going to be helpful. So I'm going to take a little bit on my micro detailer brush and just come around my edges just to get a little bit closer to that cuticle area. When I'm doing kind of shapes and things on the nail, it's harder to work with the big polish brush and a lot easier to do a little bit more detail work with your micro detailer. Alright, so I've got that right where I want it, maybe a little bit more down into the corner here. Alright, and I think that'll do. Maybe just a little bit more right down in my corner here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pop that back into the light. I'll come back in with my second coat of my Beige 102 just to give us that really good coverage over the whole area. And again, if you need to, come back in with your micro detailer to kind of fill in any little spots you feel like you missed or need to get a little bit closer. Again, I'm just gonna touch up a little bit around my edges. And even if you're not doing a design, if you're just polishing with your gel polish or even a traditional polish, if you feel like you can't quite get close enough with your polish brush, go ahead and use your micro detailer. Touch up those edges if you need to. Go ahead and freeze this again for 30 seconds. I'm gonna come in with my Mission Control gel paint, and I'm using Fizz. That's our white. So I kind of had a French manicure thought when I was picking my choices here. And when I picked the Beige 102, Beige 102 has always been one of my favorites for doing nude nails and then also with the French manicure. So that's kind of what started my thought process on doing this nail. And so now I'm just adding my white to be kind of part of that fancy French, if you will. So let's come back in around our second area of beige and we'll outline that. Take a little bit more of our color, and I think this is about where I want it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead back into the light one more time. Now when you're working with the Mission Control, to freeze it into place, 5 to 10 seconds will actually freeze it into place. So on this one, I'm just going to do a quick 10-second cure, and then I'm going to go on to my finish. We'll take that out. So we've already got our shiny top coat underneath. I'm going to come in now with my matte top coat, and we're going to top coat just the beige area. I'm just going to touch that right into the beige, kind of following the edge of my white, and then up around the cuticle. Again, if you need to come back in with your micro detailer, go ahead and do that to get right up to the edge of that white or up to the edge of our cuticle area. So again, I'll put a little bit of that on my mixing tile. come back in with my matte top coat right up around that cuticle area. And then just right at the edge of my white, just to make sure I get right up to the white. Okay, same thing down here, just right up to that edge. And then we're gonna do one final cure of 60 seconds. And because we used both our ManiQ matte top coat and our ManiQ shiny top coat, I'm gonna use our ManiQ cleanser to clean off that tacky surface. So just a little bit onto a lint-free wipe. We're gonna wipe that off. And now you're gonna see we've got our matte over our beige, but then our shiny through the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this set and I'll show you the finished product.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. Also, if you didn't know, we're on so many other channels. Check us out on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat. The list goes on. Please, please, please check us out.